Reimagining Success, Episode 2. You're listening to Reimagining Success, the podcast where we help you reimagine your future, designing a life and career beyond the 9 to 5 that allows you the freedom, flexibility and fulfillment that you've been dreaming of. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg. Now, let's get started on those dreams. Hello there, this is Anna Lundberg. I'm the founder of One Step Outside, where we help people around the world create a business and build a lifestyle that brings them more freedom, flexibility and fulfillment. And last week we talked about why it's so important to reimagine success. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, then I'd really recommend that you head back over to episode 1 to get the background to what we're talking about today. In brief, we talked about how success is actually defined as the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. And that basically leaves a huge amount of freedom for us all in defining what it means to each of us, what that aim or purpose in our lives really is. But for some reason, we tend to have a very narrow focus on career and work in this context. We look at professional success and promotions, prestigious job titles in big-name corporations, that very impressive CV, the salary increases, of course. And we even tend to glorify being busy when people ask us, how are you doing? Oh, I'm so busy, constantly in demand, rushing around, replying to emails and going to meetings, working towards urgent deadlines. And even if and when we've broken free from that corporate framework as a full-time employee and we set out on our own, there's the constant hustle of the entrepreneur. We're working all hours on our passion. We set the bar higher and higher in terms of getting more followers, more sales, more business, launching a book, launching a podcast, etc., etc. And in focusing just on work and career, I think we're forgetting that this is just one part of life. This is, by the way, why I hate the phrase work-life balance, because it puts work on the same level as life overall. And it means that we're ignoring everything else that matters. Because yes, work, of course, is important, and I never want to trivialise that. We need to earn a living, of course, so we can do all the other things we want to do, not to mention the fact that work can bring fulfilment and fantastic relationships with colleagues and so on. But again, it is one important piece of the puzzle of life. It's not the whole life picture. And in my experience, both from my own life and from working with clients over the last few years, I've identified 5 key areas in our lives that need to be balanced in order for us to thrive and live a truly successful life in a more whole and holistic and meaningful sense. So I've developed a model to remind myself and my clients, and hopefully you, what's really important. So this is hopefully a great place to start to check in with how you're doing in each of these areas, and not just in the area of work and professional success. So the model is the 5 L's, and these 5 L's are the following. First of all, live. That's wellness and well-being. Secondly, love, relationships and romance. Thirdly, learn, development and growth. Fourth, lead, career and impact, because yes, career and work is one part of the puzzle. And finally, laugh, fun and spontaneity. So let's look at each of these in turn and do a little assessment of where you stand in each area. So first of all, live, wellness and well-being. And there is a foundation on which everything else in your life is built, and that is exactly this, your wellness, your well-being. And with that, I mean your physical health, of course, but also your mental health, along with your emotional and spiritual health. It's really a holistic sense of how you're feeling, how well equipped you are to deal with everything else in your life. And although it does need to come first, and it certainly does in my model, unfortunately it often comes last. But without a good foundation here, without prioritising your foundational health and well-being, any attempt at any kind of success in other areas is going to be an uphill struggle and ultimately unsustainable and probably going to end in failure. So the first area is live, wellness and well-being. Secondly, love. And it's not just romance, it's all relationships in your life. Now, fundamentally, we all want to love and be loved. And it can mean the affection we feel for a friend or for a relative, or it can be the romantic love that we feel for a partner. It can also mean a broader sense of belonging and community, being part of society. Feeling and experiencing love is a huge part of life, and support from others is absolutely crucial to enable you to reach your biggest goals in other areas again. Third, learn, development and growth. And I'm a big believer, I'm a massive fan of lifelong learning. I like to think that I've retained that childish sense of curiosity that we all start out with when we're little and we unfortunately lose as we get older. Exploring new things, setting goals, continuing to grow, getting out of your comfort zone, that's all so important, whether we're talking about profound self-awareness and personal development or something fun like learning to play the ukulele. There's nothing worse than feeling stuck and stagnant and not doing anything about it. So that's the third area, learn, development and growth. Fourth is lead, career and impact. And so that's the area that is most traditionally associated with success, your career. But I'm not talking just about that prestigious job title, promotions, salary increases, CV, company, and so on, but really a broader definition of a successful career. And that involves doing work that you enjoy, using your skills and strengths, and ultimately making a meaningful difference in the world while earning you a bit of money as well, of course. So you may have come across the concept of ikigai. It comes from the Okinawan island in Japan. That's probably a topic for another episode, but it is a framework that talks about what's loosely translated as being the reason for getting out of bed in the morning, the reason for being. And that brings together precisely those things, your work that you enjoy, the work that you're really good at, something that the world really needs, and then ultimately, of course, bringing you money as well. So that is a lead, career and impact. Next, and finally, laugh, fun and spontaneity. It's an area that's pretty hard to pin down, but it's incredibly important. It's all that other stuff that doesn't involve setting goals and planning and pushing yourself, but it's simply about enjoying life, having fun, doing what you feel like. It really isn't selfish to spend time doing what you want now and then. And in fact, it's actually critical to living a happy and balanced life. So I think a lot of us struggle with this. I certainly can admit that I tend to be quite driven, pushing myself, and I'm all about the goals and the growth and the learning. The spontaneity and leaving things unplanned, I don't have as a natural tendency, but it's certainly something that I'm aware of and, of course, working on. So it's important to consider each of these areas in order to have a balanced and truly successful life. Now, of course, that's not to say that you need to focus on all of them all the time and be, 10 out of 10 on each area. Inevitably, there will be ups and downs. And it may be important to focus on one area at a time so as not to get overwhelmed. If you do find, even just from me talking through these different areas now, so first of all, live, wellness and well-being, love, relationships and romance, learn, development and growth, lead, career and impact, and laugh, fun and spontaneity. If you find already, I think I've actually been neglecting this area, or I really would like to focus on this one more, that's already a fantastic thing to be aware of, and you can already begin to shift your focus. Now, to help you assess where you are today, because that's always a great first step to review where we are now before we try to work out where we want to get to and how to get there, I have a little success audit that you can download. That's at onestepoutside.com/success audit. So onestepoutside.com/success audit. And you can sign up there and get that PDF, which is an audit. Sounds very formal and technical, but it's really a quiz. It's made up of 50 questions, 10 questions on each of the 5 areas to help you, as I said, review where you are today. Now, important caveat here, disclaimer, this is not a scientific diagnostic tool. So please don't take this as a mathematical measurement of your success. That's certainly not the intention. It's also not about getting a perfect 10 out of 10 on each area, as I said. It's really about being intentional. So, for example, you might make a choice to focus more on your well-being right now and maybe deprioritize, say, meeting a new partner until you've got your health in order. Or maybe you know that you have to focus on work right now because you have a big project, massive deadline, or maybe you're working on an important promotion, whatever it might be. But then you can bring back the focus onto family and relationships as soon as that deadline is met. So this is more a gentle reminder of the different things that are important in your life beyond, again, that narrow, conventional focus on the work domain. So you can sign up to get that at onestepoutside.com/success audit. Now, we're building a life here, and a career and a business that works with that life. And that means taking care of your health and your relationships. It means doing meaningful work, and it means hopefully having fun. So each of these 5 areas builds on the other, of course. Your well-being in particular is absolutely fundamental to everything else, especially when you're working for yourself. Of course, taking care of yourself is taking care of your business. And as the saying goes, you need to put your oxygen mask on yourself before you help other people, which means that even if you feel like you're being selfless and you want to prioritise your partner, your elderly parents, your children and so on, you absolutely must take care of yourself in order to be able to support those other people who matter so much in your life. Now, being satisfied and fulfilled in your work, likewise, while setting boundaries between work and play, also means that you can enjoy proper time off with your loved ones or go on holidays where you're not constantly checking your emails and spend time on your hobbies and other fun things. So these 5 areas and the success audit is really intended, again, to bring awareness to where you are in these different areas and perhaps give you an indication of what you might want to do about it. The PDF has a brief explanation of each of the 5 areas with 10 yes or no questions on each one. Don't overthink it. Again, it's not, a scientific tool. It's really just your initial gut reaction to the question. And then the audit will go into some suggested next steps for what you can do with the information that you gain from the exercise. So now, first of all, if you do find that your score is low across several, even all of the 5 areas, it does happen. Unfortunately, we tend to, have ups and downs sort of happening in all areas of our lives at the same time, which makes things quite overwhelming. Try not to be too disappointed. And the first step, again, is to have the awareness that you want to change something in the first place. It may seem difficult to face this head on, but that is the best first step in order to be able to do something about it and to get you moving closer to where you want to be. So in terms of, your overall score out of 50, it'd be interesting to look at how you feel seeing that. Are you surprised? Is it higher or lower than you expected? Again, to emphasise, we're not aiming for a perfect 50 out of 50 because wouldn't that be boring? In any case, it's a balancing act. It's an ongoing process. I mean, even if you were to reach a top score, a perfect score one day, then probably your goals and priorities are going to change over time and your score will alter in the process. Maybe a score of 35 or more is pretty good. Notice also how that's split across different areas. Maybe there's an overall sense of balance, you're pretty even across the different areas, or there are massive differences. Do you feel that imbalance in your day-to-day life, if so? And then once you've considered the total score and the level of balance overall, you can dig into your scores in each specific area. A score of around 7 or above, I'd say, is pretty good. But the important question to ask is how you feel about your score. Again, is there a specific area with a low score that you're particularly upset about? Can you see maybe how you might have neglected those areas and acknowledge that you would like to give them more attention? Is there a surprisingly high score as well? So looking at your individual scores is going to help you identify gaps versus where you want to be and then prioritise where you want to focus your attention moving forwards. Now, it is important to emphasise that this is an ongoing, lifelong process, so there's no rush. It's all about taking little steps. And in fact, my coaching business is called One Step Outside, and I will always be encouraging you to take that one small step that will move you forwards. Action begets action. It creates momentum. It builds your confidence to keep on going. So every episode, probably, I'll be asking you, and I will ask you now as well, what is the one step you want to take today to start reimagining success? In this case, really beyond that narrow domain of work and professional success. So once again, final time, onestepoutside.com/success audit. And of course, I'd love to hear how you get on. So that is it for today on how you can begin to review where you are in different areas of your life. So again, those 5 L's: live, wellness and well-being, love, relationships and romance, learn, development and growth, lead, career and impact, and laugh, fun and spontaneity. So where are you in those areas today? And then what actions do you want to start taking to address any imbalance, to shift focus to areas that may have been neglected, and to remind yourself what is really important in your life? So thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoy that little exercise, and I will see you next week. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Reimagining Success with Anna Lindberg. Before you go, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast so that you never miss an episode. I'll be back next week. I'll see you then.